making a melee build effective in Starfield is not as straightforward as in other RPGs. But after about 40 hours of playing with this build, trying out everything, I figured out how you can be effective. I've also found a bug that makes you deal less damage with the exact same items than what is possible. It doesn't matter if you start Starfield or you want to optimize your current playthrough, you can find everything in this video to master the melee build. Now let's get down to business. First of all, you need to have a better understanding of how the build will work. But don't worry, it won't be complicated. A trait you should consider is alien DNA because of the extra starting health and oxygen. For additional traits, go for what you prefer, but if you can, try to avoid the ones that lower your health. The Adoring Fan is a fun choice for your first playthrough.
By Vectera, by Vectera, by Vectera! I can't believe it!
Your ideal background would be Ronin. All 3 perks are useful for this build. It starts with 1 point on dueling, which is a must. If you combine a rank 4 dueling with the weapon, later on, you can start dealing decent damage.
You try anything, you're dead.
And you also get 1 point on Stealth 2, which will be useful for the sneak attacks. It can be tricky to do that, but if you can deal ridiculous damage with a high-rank Concealment perk. And you receive rank 1 Scavenging. This one doesn't change much, but can be useful for players who want to max the Isolation perk. I'll talk more about this later. In the combat skill tree, max out dueling. Because of your Ronin background, you need 3 points to do that. Your main skill tree should be physical. This is where most of your points will go. 1 or 2 points on weightlifting. You don't need more, you would just fill the extra capacity added with junk anyway. 4 points on stealth. Rank this up with ranged weapons. Don't even try it with melee. They would notice you constantly in the beginning and even later on if you don't do a few things. I'll talk about this too, later on in the playstyle section. 4 points on wellness. The extra health is a must, especially on higher difficulty levels. 1 on gymnastics. The combat slide is good. I wouldn't put more on this unless you have extra points you don't need for anything. 3 on martial arts. Extra critical chance, a chance to disarm and damage reduction. The 4th rank is too weak in my opinion. Make sure to always have leveling in progress because this can be quite slow to level up. 4 on concealment. Max this as soon as you can because it takes time to complete all the tasks. Later on, I will show you how to succeed more often. Rejuvenation is a perk that you should choose if you really don't want to focus on different healing items. 1 can help you spare a lot of med packs, but ranks above that really depends on your playstyle. In the tech skill tree, 1 on security, so you can lockpick even advanced locks. For some missions, 1 point on this was useful because it offered a quicker way to get to your destination. But lockpicking in general, especially the higher levels, just disrupts your play and you will get bored doing them anyway. And maybe 1 on boost pack training. It makes you get to places a little bit faster and can also help you with avoiding fall damage. So with all that, even if you slightly modify this build, you should be finished somewhere around level 25-30. That's where I finished the main quest. If you want to go even further and the enemies deal too much damage, put some extra points on damage reduction perks in the physical skill tree. Mainly pain tolerance and energy weapon dissipation. The playstyle. I love sneak builds in games. I played Fallout 3, New Vegas and Fallout 4 with it, and loved sneaking in a bunch of other games too. And everything went just fine. In Starfield, not so much. I went to the extent of trying naked sneaking without a companion while barely carrying anything. It didn't help much. The main problem is how they hear and can see work in a bizarre way. Let me show you some hyper-realistic drawings to explain it. That's the enemy. And that's you. The enemy is currently facing the opposite direction and cannot see you. This is roughly what he sees. To minimize problems, always try to position yourself in a way to stay far away from the red lines, because if you don't, you can say goodbye to your sneak attacks. And because you need to get close, you have to be extra careful. Of course, against multiple enemies, this becomes much more difficult. So here is what you can do. The general idea would be to sneak until the strongest enemy is in sight. Then, before anyone could notice you, use the anti-gravity field on the strongest enemy, preferably more than 1 opponent. Don't worry, you will get this power quite soon if you do the main quest. With the Syndicate Enforcer sword and a level 4 concealment, even really strong enemies should be a few hits. I'll show you how you can get that weapon in a minute. Also, if you want to rank up concealment, you should perform sneak attacks with the light attacks because those are faster. This way, you can rank up concealment 2 or 3 times faster than with the heavy attacks. Since it's difficult to rank your martial arts and concealment, try to kill as many neutral creatures with these as possible. Even if you don't sneak, always position yourself behind them so they can't attack you that easily. Now that you know how to play it, let's get your melee weapon. The decent weapons are usually linked to a late-game quest or a specific playthrough, so I've decided to pick one that anyone can find early on. This weapon is the Syndicate Enforcer, an epic wakizashi in Neon City. With this, you also don't need to rely on random melee weapon drops that might not come. This is a quick guide on how to find the Syndicate Enforcer. Find Voli system, then Voli Alpha and Neon. As soon as you step out of the main elevator, turn right and run past Reliant Medical and the building next to it. Then go into the alley, and then move to the other location. Move a few steps forward and turn left. Follow the pipes until you see the stairs. Run all the way up to the top. Go to the back of that building and use the lockpick on the vent to get into it. Fall to the bottom. Run out and find the vent. After you open it, run past the guy and then go up the stairs. Don't worry, no one cares that a random spacesuit lunatic runs around within their territory. It's everyday stuff in this syndicate. After the stairs, go all the way to the end. When you get to the tables, turn right and then right again. Run until you get to the sofas and then turn right. Go in that door and run until you can turn right. Run to the door, then turn left and jump down. You will see a weapon case down there. Steal their epic weapon right after the polite assassin lady asks you to do no funny business.
No funny business.
Now that we have it, let's try it out. Beautiful. Also, since the weapon has the Berserker modifier on it, which works in a silly way, you can do something to deal extra damage. Let me show you how. I found out that my damage varies based on what order I equip my items. If I first equipped the spacesuit, then the helmet, then the booster pack, I had more damage than if I did it in a different order. However, keep in mind if the game loads, your damage can be reverted to the lower number. So make sure to focus on this before a longer or more difficult fight. There are also a few general tips and tricks that will make your Starfield playthrough a lot better. Sleep if you expect to get lots of experience points. So before quest completion and bigger fights, if you sleep with a companion, the bonus is even more. The XP bonus you get for it makes the leveling process quicker. No matter what your build is, always have at least one ranged weapon, but preferably 2 with 2 different ammo types. If you don't want to play with a companion, you can pick the Isolation perk for extra damage resistance and some bonus damage. And for that, you would need 4 points on either Scavenging or the other perks in Social. Please keep in mind that most of the missions are with companions, and also a companion with a relatively good weapon would deal way more damage than what you get with the Isolation perk. So you should only max this out if you would love to play a lone wolf-style playthrough. For that type, it's great. The Vanguard questline gives you a penthouse. The Freestar Rangers quests give you a high-level spaceship, which I found more useful because you use the ship way more frequently than your house. You practically live on the ship in this game. It only needed some minor changes, a better reactor, and grav jump. For space combat, everything was more than enough. Consider a playthrough with Sarah and give her a full automatic Equinox laser rifle. She will help you a lot with that. I gave her this one. For some reason, she deals the most damage with this weapon, even compared to late-game weapons with way better stats. And the best thing is this type of laser rifle isn't even rare. If you have further questions about this build or Starfield, feel free to ask it, and I will try to answer as many as I can. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.